Hello, Bethesda. Let me start by reading some verses from Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 2 and 3, and 8 through 11. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, vanity of vanities, all is vanity. What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? All things are full of weariness, a man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. What has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Is there a thing of which it is said, "See, this is new"? It has been already in the ages before us. There is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of later things yet to be among those who come after. Ecclesiastes is a book about life. Verse 2 uses the word vanity to describe life, which means life is both short and elusive. Life is like smoke, here 1 minute, gone the next, and if we try to grab hold, it easily slips through our fingers. In other words, we can't control it. And yet that doesn't stop us from trying. Verse 3 says that we toil at life. Why? We toil to gain. Gain what? Gain happiness, or maybe a better way of saying it is gain ultimate satisfaction. And yet when we get to the end of our lives, for all our toil, all our efforts, what we discover that we gained is nothing more than a dissatisfying weariness. In fact, the weariness of all things in creation, including our pursuit of ultimate satisfaction, that weariness is so deep, we can't see to the bottom of it. Or, as the way the writer puts it, all things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. It's worth taking a couple of minutes to consider how we go about seeking ultimate satisfaction. Verse 8 says that we try to do it with the eye and the ear. So think through a couple of examples with me. A scientist just starting out in her field will work very hard to see or to discover something new. A poet will work very hard at looking at life in a new way so that he can claim that his poem is truly unique. A counselor will listen very hard to his patient, hoping to hear something new that no other counselor has heard. Or a mom may decide that in the history of all moms, she is going to be the best mom listener who has ever lived. What does a mom and a poet and a counselor and a scientist and every other person who has lived have in common? They seek ultimate satisfaction by saying, "See, this is new." But the writer of Ecclesiastes knows better. He tells us that there is nothing new under the sun. What does he mean? Does he mean that there is nothing new to discover? No, I don't think so. We need to be careful here that we not press him into a scientific corner. He is a wisdom writer. He's writing in a much more general way. So there will be new vaccines, but it's just a vaccine, like other vaccines that have been discovered. There will be new takes on life, and yet it'll be just clumped in with all the other takes on life. There will be new advice given by counselors, and yet it's just advice. And there will be new tender moments that moms share with their children, and yet there have been many tender moments that moms have shared with their children. So what exactly is the writer saying? He's saying that these new things don't give ultimate satisfaction, because if they did, we would stop once we experience them. Yet verse 8 says, the eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. Why doesn't life satisfy? Because it can't. Life can't satisfy in its present form. Broken by sin and cursed by God, it cannot give us the ultimate satisfaction that we were made to enjoy. In other words, we can't find ultimate satisfaction in creation. You can't get there from here, as the saying goes. What we need is something from without creation to come into it to give us ultimate satisfaction. And thankfully, that's what God did in giving his Son. The Creator gave his Son into the creation. In one of the most famous verses from John's Gospel, chapter 3, verse 16, we're told that God loved the world and gave his only Son so that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Ultimate satisfaction, in other words, is found in a belief in Jesus Christ, not with the eye, not with the ear, but through belief. Now, does that mean the eye and the ear are good for nothing? No. It doesn't mean that we should stop looking or we should plug up our ears. This is a wonderful creation that God has given to us. But we are reminded by the weariness or the dissatisfaction that we experience in this creation that we will never be ultimately happy if our interests lie only here. Our interests must develop new appreciation and new affections for God, and that's only possible through faith in Jesus Christ. Reminds me of something that Paul said over in 1 Timothy chapter 6. Once we have this godliness that God gives to us through faith, he says that godliness with contentment is great gain. That gain is not possible without godliness, and that godliness is not possible without God giving his Son. Thank the Lord that he has done that for us. And so, wrapping up, I should say that as we look at the things around us in life, we should enjoy them, we should be happy with them, but we should not pursue them as if they can give us an ultimate happiness or satisfaction. That can only come from the eternal Creator who gives eternal life through faith in his Son. I hope these words have encouraged you tonight.